UW360 is proudly supported by Pacific Office Automation, copy, print, workflow, and IT. Problem solved.
Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn Douglas. Welcome to UW360. We are joining you from the popular University Bookstore, a beloved fixture in this community that's been serving students and the general public for more than a century now. We'll learn some of the secrets behind this store's long-running success story a little later in the show. We'll also learn the story behind the University of Washington becoming home to a Presidential Medal of Freedom. We'll get a behind-the-scenes look at one of the most unique stores you'll ever find, a place that sold everything from MRI machines to submarines. And we hit the beach to meet the UW's first Division I Sand Volleyball team. But first, for more than 20 years, Book-It Repertory Theatre has combined the best of two worlds, wonderful writing and terrific stage performances. The UW has enjoyed a long partnership with Book-It, making great works of literature accessible to audiences from all walks of life. Terry Murphy reports.
It was one of my mother's art therapy.
When it comes to our local theater scene, whether it's downtown Seattle, on the UW campus, or in the shadow of the Space Needle, there's something for everyone.
Book-It Repertory Theatre performs at the Center Theater in the Armory on the Seattle Center campus.
Myra Platt is co-artistic director and one of the founders of Book-It Repertory Theatre.
Our mission is to transform great literature into great theater through simple and sensitive production and to inspire our audiences to read.
As a teacher and stage director, Platt has a long history with the University of Washington.
The University of Washington has a particular understanding of the breadth of what we do, and so we've been very lucky to work with them on all different levels. The education department has worked with UW's education programming. We were invited to teach. I've taught a Book-It style class to the undergraduate drama students, and then we've partnered with them with our workshop series, our novel workshop series.
You can borrow my pen if you want.
The Book-It style weaves dialogue with narrative from books that have been adapted for the stage.
When we take a work of literature, a novel, we pretty much edit the novel down, but we preserve a lot, if not most, of the narrative that you would see when you read the book. What happens is there's this lovely juxtaposition of author, an internal monologue, and character speaking all at the same time.
For nearly 25 years, Book-It has defined the meaning and the value of narrative theater. 200
plus schools and libraries and community centers have access to Book-It's work. So we're really embedded and committed and invested in our community, and now statewide we are touring and even regionally.
With more than 100 works of literature adapted and produced, Book-It continues a strong connection with the University of Washington and the entire theater community.
We've loved working with the UW students who've graduated. So we've worked with undergraduate drama students have come to be in our plays and our touring programs. We've had graduate students come and be on our main stage.
Strong ones.
We are completely invested in the Seattle community and in Washington State, and we know that we have a product that is not only fabulous entertainment, but something that can really make a difference.
In August.
Through the power of live theater, Book-It reaches more than 70,000 people each year, encouraging literacy wherever they perform. When we come back, how the University of Washington became home to a Presidential Medal of Freedom as UW360 continues. Welcome back to UW360 from the University Bookstore. The University of Washington is now home to a Presidential Medal of Freedom, a gift from the family of Gordon Hirabayashi. He was a young student here when he took a stand that took him all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now his letters, photos, and other documents have been given to the UW, along with the Presidential Medal. Stacy Sakamoto reports.
When the family of the late Gordon Hirabayashi presented his Presidential Medal of Freedom to the University of Washington in February, his story came full circle.
He really started a very vital and relevant chapter of American history, and a story that we here at the University of Washington, and that I hope across the nation and world, know that it's a story that must continue to be told.
Hirabayashi was a University of Washington senior in 1942 when the federal government ordered Japanese Americans to internment camps.
And Gordon Hirabayashi, on constitutional grounds, refused to follow that exclusion order because of racial ancestry. He said this was a case of racial discrimination.
Let me begin by asking all of you a question.
Tetsuden Kashima is a professor in the University of Washington's Department of American Ethnic Studies. He says 120,000 Japanese Americans on the West Coast were forced from their homes and sent to camps.
In 1941, there were more than 440 Japanese American students at the University of Washington. That means they were the largest minority on campus.
Some Japanese American students sought transfers to schools in other parts of the country, but not Hirabayashi. Professor Kashima says the 24-year-old made a conscious decision to defy the presidential order.
In order to protest, often you have to break the law, which means that if you break the law, then you could be charged and you could be sentenced if you're found guilty.
Hirabayashi was convicted of violating both the government's curfew and internment order and sent to prison. The conviction for curfew violation was even upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. But in the 1980s, Hirabayashi's case was reopened and his convictions overturned.
Now, I have written hundreds of judicial opinions, but I think that Hirabayashi is the only one I ever wrote that I was sure from the beginning was right historically, legally, intellectually, and morally.
Judge Schroeder was on hand at a symposium honoring Hirabayashi's legacy. Friends and colleagues remembered his pacifism, his courage, and his words.
If the government could do this sort of thing, they could keep us apart.
After the war, Hirabayashi continued his studies and went on to teach in the Middle East and Canada. He died in 2012, never knowing that he was to receive this country's highest civilian award. Now his widow, Susan Carnahan, has given it to the University of Washington.
Gordon was educated at this university. He received his 3 degrees here, and he just loved this institution.
Hirabayashi's family also presented the university with thousands of his papers, letters, and photos. Under the guidance of Ann Jenner, the Pacific Northwest curator of the library's special collections, the documents were organized, labeled, and cataloged. Some of the most significant documents were displayed in the Allen Library, among them old family photos and Hirabayashi's yearbook photo from Auburn High School. Jenner says Hirabayashi's papers will be available for scholars and researchers, a gift for future generations. And there is a less tangible effect here on campus, proof that a single young person can make a difference.
It gives me a chance to, or any of us, a chance to see the world with new eyes and believe that great things people are capable of great things.
And so his legacy is one that we all must, I think, understand and protect and be willing to defend, even if we have to go to prison ourselves if we think that strongly about it.
I took a stand and I can't give it up.
Librarian Ann Jenner is hoping that other people who knew Hirabayashi will help contribute other artifacts to the collection. Okay, now to a story about a place where you can truly find anything. The UW Surplus Store has the oddest collection of stuff for sale you've probably ever seen. Items from all over campus that are no longer needed are offered for sale to UW staff and the general public. Over the years, the store has sold everything from MRI machines to submarines to entire dorm buildings worth of furniture, along with the more common office furniture and supplies. Rebecca Herr asked the store's operations manager to show us how it all works.
Can you really put a price on this amount of awesome? It's almost overwhelming. This far and away beats the Asian disco umbrella we sold yesterday.
Sorting through the University of Washington's refuse may not sound like a dream job, but for these guys, every day is an adventure. Welcome to UW Surplus, where surplus and unwanted property from hundreds of university departments get a second chance.
Some assembly required.
Around 50,000 items move through UW Surplus every year, about half of which make it to the Surplus store, for sale to university departments, government and nonprofit organizations, and to the general public.
We probably sell about 50% of the items that are surplus, and then we probably recycle about 45% of those items, and only about 5% are going to landfill.
Sometimes we go back and forth about, oh, should that really be recycled or dumpstered? And we all have stories of picking things out of a recycle bin or a dumpster bin and sort of saying, this is my challenge for the week, I'm going to find a buyer for this.
Items come in from hundreds of university departments, meaning they're as varied as they are unusual.
I have sold 2 airplanes. I've sold boats. We sell cars, and then your typical office furniture and equipment that we get all the time.
The store is packed wall to wall with interesting and unusual finds, but the real action happens on the auction block.
25, 25, 25 now 50, 25 now 50, and 25 looking for 50, 50 now 75, 75 now 100.
6 to 8 times a year, UW Surplus holds a live public auction. Usually it's between 90 and 115 lots.
Sold $125 to bidder number 350.
A lot of large items, especially medical equipment, dental equipment, pallets of laptops. Those are the things that we'll put into the auction.
Sold $75.
So I was thinking for the coats, $30.
To better market the university's old, sometimes antique items, UW Surplus is taking a thoroughly modern approach.
We also started using kind of social media, set up a Twitter account. Now we're moving to Facebook.
And a lot of times we found buyers specifically because we've put something on Twitter and someone has retweeted us and it finds its way to somebody who's looking and they contact us, which is the best free advertising you can have. I think the key for that is to catch people off guard with humor, and it's hard to interest someone in, a pile of cinder blocks, but there's always a way. Even if it's just to get people to look at something because there's a funny tagline with it, it starts people talking, and people like to share things that make them laugh.
The university is not getting rich on its unwanted surplus items, but the surplus program is self-sustaining, meaning the university doesn't wind up paying hefty disposal fees. And at the same time, it's salvaging untold treasures for the next lucky bargain hunter.
And it's probably optimistic of us to think we could sell swimming pool dividers in November in Seattle, but there's a buyer out there and we'll find that person.
When we come back, we hit the beach to meet the UW's first sand volleyball team. It's UW 360 continues. Welcome back to UW 360. Seattle might not be Surf City, but it is the new home of a Division I women's beach volleyball team. The collegiate sport's actually called sand volleyball, and this year the UW has joined more than 40 schools that have granted the game varsity sports status. Aaron Mayofsky takes a look at the Huskies' first season.
When you talk Husky volleyball, you might think of Coach Jim McLaughlin leading the Dogs through the NCAA tournament every season.
And now the program is expanding from the hardwood to right here in the sand. The Huskies are one of 8 Pac-12 schools to add sand volleyball as a sport, and they practice here on the beautiful beaches of Seattle's Golden Gardens.
I think Jim says it best when he says you haven't lived a full volleyball life unless you spent time competing on the sand.
Sand volleyball is a totally different beast from the indoor game. The rules are different, the sand is different, from court to court is even different, and it's strictly 2-on-2 competition.
Oh, I like sand. I think it's super fun. It's very different. I think it'll help indoor. It's hard to move in sand, so if you get pretty good at moving in the sand, I feel like you'll be more agile on the court.
The 2015 season kicks off next spring with 10 matches on the schedule, and the biggest rival, of course, will be Oregon. But the toughest competition will be USC and UCLA.
And the Huskies, like other NCAA teams, will be allowed to sign 6 players to sand scholarships, but they cannot play indoor for their first 2 seasons. Although indoor scholarship players can play both sports all 4 years.
Technically, college sand is an emerging sport. We hope that in the year 2016, we'll make it to NCAA championship status.
Girls can get feisty and sometimes you take things the wrong way. I figured out like how she talks and she's figured out how I talk, so now it's just, we're doing really well. But it can be a disaster sometimes.
But with all the excitement, there is some setback with the players.
We definitely find sand in our ear. Like, we'll be showering after an indoor practice and we'll like, oh, there's sand in my ears. Practice sand like 3 days ago.
Maybe not in my ears, but in my eyelashes and my hair sometimes it gets stuck. So, but it's super fun and you get nice and dirty.
It'll grow quickly. It's growing all over the nation, and the number of players playing, the quality of those players, and that's going to make its way into the college game pretty quickly.
When we come back, the secrets behind the long-running success of the University Bookstore as UW360 continues. Welcome back, everyone. The University Bookstore has been servicing not only students, but the entire UW community for more than 100 years now. So what's the secret to their long-running success? Austin Siedentopf finds out.
The University Bookstore started in a cloakroom next to the president's office in Denny Hall. Today, the University Bookstore is the largest and most respected independent bookstore in Washington state. It and its 8 other stores sell more books and supplies than any college store in the country. So what's the secret to over 100 years of success?
It isn't unusual to see someone's having a show or having a reading or publishing a book, and I love that about our staff, and the intensity that they bring to their jobs and the passion that they bring to what they do.
I haven't read this one, but the staff, most of the staff has read it, and it's supposed to be awesome. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I love working with customers, first and foremost, getting that book into that hand. You feel called to get the right book in the right person's hand because you know it has the potential of changing their lives in some way. This guy lives in Washington State, and he's one of our best writers. There's this sense of, wow, it's almost like Christmas for that person. You've just been Santa Claus.
One of the keys to the University Bookstore's success is its support of the university community. It has over $1 million in annual discounts and rebates for students, faculty, and alumni, a total of $28 million to date.
We were started by students. We've never lost that passion or that focus on what students need. We do offer our students choice when it comes to the type of course materials that they want. They have the rebate, so we try to be very transparent, but we also try to make sure that students know we really do have their back.
Most visitors to the U Bookstore know that it sells all sorts of stuff. Knickknacks, Husky apparel, art supplies, and of course, you know, books. But you might not know that the bookstore holds over 400 events every year. Book clubs, live readings, kids contests and story times and author talks round out the robust schedule.
And so they don't show it because it's so rare and so tiny and so delicate. I'm here today to do a presentation about my new book, and all the real authors come here to do book presentations, so I was very honored to be part of that.
The University Bookstore also employs cutting-edge technology to make good on its dedication to literature and learning. Enter the Espresso Book Machine, a device that allows anyone to print any kind of book that they have written.
My book, Speaking to Seattle, it's a compilation of 22 years of writing opinion editorial pieces for the Seattle Times.
There it is. The fruits of a dream, 22-year-old dream.
I can take my idea, small publishing idea, and turn it into an actual book. And the first time it happened, I'm kind of gushing a little bit, but it was really kind of a magical moment. It's like seeing the book, all of a sudden, there's your dream, alive.
I think we have a wonderful staff.
So I draw all the time. I collected up a bunch of doodles and put them in a book, which I liked putting them in the book because not only is it an easy Christmas gift, but it gives it a certain weight and substance that it doesn't have when it's just digital and sort of out there in the world.
Whether you're looking to shop, browse, read, learn from an author, or even print your own book, the University Bookstore has a place for you. The U Bookstore is more than just a store. It is the center of an astoundingly literate community, a community that loves learning and spreading learning. And that is the secret to over 100 years of success here at the U Bookstore. My name is Austin Siedentoff, and I'll see you next time.
So there you have it, the secret to the University Bookstore's century-long success, service to community, and lifelong learning. Here's to its continued success for another 100 years. And that does it for this edition of UW 360. If you'd like more information on any of the stories you saw today, just head to our website at uwtv.org/UW360. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Carolyn Douglas. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time with all new stories from the University of Washington.